Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another great episode of
You're muted. There we go.
the intro was playing
Oh,
for some odd reason. That's why it happens. Anyway, welcome to another great episode of the Shadow Realm, live right here on Sideline Sports. I'm your boy Bodkins, and of course, with me as always is Mr. Bobby Blunts. Bobby, it is we had a UFC in Belgrade. In the card, I thought I thought it was a fun card. I don't want to say it was like some great MMA, but a fun card. I thought lots of finishes, so that's right up my alley. And maybe the biggest finish it was. I don't even know if it actually. I'll take that back because I don't think it was the biggest finish, but Euros Medic gets it done in about 30 seconds, and does what he was supposed to do.
yeah. I mean, it kind of topped off a night of first round finishes. I think there were a total of 9. Um,
Yeah.
When John Anik was watching it live, he was making it sound like a record breaking night. I guess in theory it kind of was if you're like just going off the numbers, but I wasn't extremely like blown away. I appreciated how kind of quickly it went and stuff, but there was a lot of stuff that just felt like kind of contender series light on there, and it's why we were getting first round finishes. But they brought the locals to fight. They were having a really tough showing on the main card. It just did not seem to be going their way when it was on the prelims, but Medic made that all right and made very quick work of D-Rod there. I think more or less what we were kind of expecting. I was quite I don't know about you, but the entire night, them trying to gaslight us into thinking that D-Rod was in the best shape of his career because he just spent 6 months in a Mexican prison. I thought they'd use that once or twice, but every single time they
every time they brought him up, yeah.
And it kind of was giving me Connor vibes a little bit when he was walking out. He just really did not seem that engaged or in it. I guess this is very like revisionist history now knowing the result, but it wasn't like really the most shocking thing that it ended that quickly. It's like, oh, okay, that's kind of what they set up the matchmaking to be. Touche. So
yeah, I mean, sent the home crowd home happy, right? Like that's kind of it, and you mentioned like it was like Strikeforce-esque, right? Like type booking, like we're gonna have some fun in here. May not be maybe all things aren't equal when you step into the octagon as far as skill level. But yeah, Medic, I mean, he did what he's supposed to do, handled D-Rod pretty easily. I thought D-Rod's been known to be pretty durable, so I was kind of a little surprised at like just how quickly it was. But other than that, I thought he did what he was supposed to do.
I think if we didn't have this layoff in the Mexican prison, it'd be a little bit more kind of eye-opening. But considering that he'd been dealing with this, and I don't know, like I think I might just be harping on the entire card, just knowing that it was their first like site fee card in Serbia, and they just really paid top dollar to build this card. I'm obviously kidding, but it was it was entertaining. It was a lot better than the Abu Dhabi card, as far as the pace and stuff. And there were some definitely like good fights on there worth talking about, but the entire main card, I mean, the only fight that didn't get out of the first round is the fight I absolutely refuse to talk about. So, it was good in its own right. But to me, like the co-main, I got like more stories to take away from that than the main. Even though, like, obviously, Medic being from there, like seeing the flare go off in the crowd and stuff. It was good to see them get their enthusiasm back after having a cup ruffle fights for the local guys.
Yeah, Bobby, you mentioned the co-main, and that's to me the biggest like moment or like the biggest like kind of takeaway was Navajo Sterling knocking out Jan Blachowicz. Um, he looked. We talked about him just a few weeks ago. In his last fight against Cutabella, and we're just like, I don't really know if this guy's got it. Cutabella kind of gave him some adversity. I mean, even Blachowicz gave him some adversity, right? Like put him down at one point in time, like kind of knocked him down, but Navajo got right back up. So that was I was like, oh, okay. Then he just was able to cut Jan and just bust him open and down he goes. I know Jan is 43 years old and is probably hopefully I think should put him down, but obviously on the back nine, maybe the back two, really the back, maybe the ninth hole or the 18th hole, should I say, or for Blachowicz. But Navajo looked good. He did what he that was his biggest win of his career against a former champion.
Yeah, and I was glad that he was shown a little bit of adversity in it. I wasn't sure if it was a slip at first, but Jan definitely caught him with that jab. He bloodied up his nose. He had like two slips in the fight, but at no point did he really get overwhelmed, and he just kind of waited for his moment. And when he landed that overhand and Jan went down, it looked like the beginning of the end. Being able to posture up, use those elbows to split him open. There was a nasty gash on the bottom of his eye. But, once again, like passed the test against a crafty vet. And I know he's still very young, but he keeps kind of filling out that 205 frame. Like since he's been signed to the organization, you see him like slowly putting on a little bit of size to where at first I thought he was like undersized in the division. Now he looks like kind of fully grown in. And, I don't know how you don't have his name in the list of like Roundtree, Angalaev, Paulo Costa. Like I think he'd be the fourth one. I know that might be a little bit too soon, but 43 or not, he was able to get Jan out of there rather quickly. Where we've seen guys like Jan Blachowicz literally, or Angalaev, end up being in a draw with him just because it's more of a stalemate.
Even when Blachowicz loses, right? Like it still makes guys look bad. Like against Alex Pereira, right? Like Alex Pereira, one of the few times Alex Pereira didn't look good in a fight at light heavyweight was against Jan Blachowicz. Like he makes people like it's like a long drawn out, like full 25-minute process, and Sterling got him out inside of one. So that's got like you just don't get to do. People just don't do that to Jan Blachowicz, and it's a guy that reached like I said was former champion, defended the belt. Allegedly, he's 43 years old, though he's no longer lifting weights, Bobby. So I don't know what he's gonna. I don't know what he's gonna do here.
Yeah, and he did have success in the fight, so I was not really surprised to not see Jan take the gloves off. I think he'll definitely try to get one more, especially because of the layoff with the injury and stuff. And I don't necessarily think he can't win a fight in that division, but I really can like no longer doubt Navajo Sterling. Like I think he is ready to swim with the top of that division. I'm not even sure what Jan was ranked, but I have to assume he was in the top 10, even though he hasn't fought in a while. So
yeah, he was. Yeah. Depending on which rankings.
Yeah. Oh, which that was another thing that was quite humorous. They kept going back and forth from the meta and the media rankings throughout the night, depending on the fight that they were talking about. So it seems like they're just going to use every trick to their advantage. But
exactly.
Yeah, I mean, to me, that was the most meaningful fight on the card that feel like it has some like, everlasting thing in the division. Like I'm not trying to sell Medic short, but like with how quick that is, I guess you can like call him a contender, even though I still think that's a little bit premature when we're talking about like the top five in that division. But glad to see Sterling get it done quickly. I I thought Jan would be able to like be the crafty vet and get the victory, but Sterling was not having any of it. So credit to him.
No, and in 205 too, Sterling just makes himself right there. Like, you know what I mean? Like he's puts himself on the cusp. Like if he wins his next one, you could very well say, yeah, he's title shot next, right? Like, I mean, it's like that's how thin the division is.
Or like that tournament idea that Olberg was talking about that I absolutely shit on. Like add Sterling's name to that tournament, like that should be the fourth guy.
Olberg and Sterling are teammates. Not saying that we've never seen teammates fight. But
I think they would fight. I'm basing that off nothing, but especially we are on the heels of Adesanya leaving that gym. So I don't think they're going to let the teammate thing get in the way of especially because eventually if he keeps winning, he's going to make himself undeniable and you have to give him the title shot.
Yeah. Yeah. I know you don't want to talk about it, but it was just good heavyweight slop. Rakic versus Tybura, and I didn't come away thinking like Rakic was even going to be a real player here in this super duper thin heavyweight division.
Yeah, the card was going great, amazing pace, and I knew there was not a fucking chance in hell this was ending early. After that first round, I was mentally pretty checked out of this one. I knew it was just going to go decision, seeing the pace. I really got to give the crowd credit for staying in it that entire fight. I mean, they clearly wanted Rakic to win. So, I mean, at least the crowd was able to appreciate it because up until then, I think they had 3 first-round finishes for local guys. But, yeah, I did not come away like, oh, we got a new player at heavyweight. If anything, I would almost question if he should just go back down. But again, like it is heavyweight. I'm sure he can get a couple more of these uninspiring wins too. But currently, like with heavyweight, I'm just gonna line every guy up with Josh Hokett. Like, how would they fare against Josh Hokett? And I think Hokett would take care of Ratchets pretty quickly. So not to immediately dismiss him, but essentially that's what I'm doing. The most uninspiring performance on the card by far. I understand he had multiple losses, so to just get back in the win column is a big thing. I'm not trying to talk down to that, but there's really nothing positive for me to say about the fight.
There was
the Tybura side. I am still puzzled why he did not wrestle. I thought he really.
Right.
If I'm not giving Ratchik credit for maybe staying off the fence and not letting him wrestle, that's one thing. But I was a little. It's not even like he abandoned the takedown or anything. It didn't seem like he was looking for it at all. So that was kind of puzzling. But what do you think of it?
Yeah, I thought it was the same. I was surprised Tabora didn't. Like, I don't even remember him shooting a takedown.
No, not. I don't remember anything getting stuffed. It was just. He was willing to participate in shitty kickboxing.
Right, and Rakic won. Like Rakic won the shitty kickboxing.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, it was a 30-27. Like he did win all 3 rounds. So credit to him on the sense of he was coming off a multiple losing streak and he took no damage and won the fight. But
like you said, like I actually bet this. I bet that fight over 2.5 or 1.5 rounds, and like I watching halfway through the first, I was like, oh, I'm gonna nail this bet.
I can't believe that's what the line was set at. I
Yeah.
mean, I feel like 2.5 would, and granted, again, I know this is revisionist history, knowing there were 9 first-round finishes on the card, but this fight just screamed the exact opposite to me, with it being
Oh,
on there.
exactly. Exactly. Um, there's a couple of the names I wanted to shout out on this card. To me, Michael Oliveira. I mean, what he did to Oban Ellie. I mean, that guy's. I think Oliveira could be a problem here at the welterweight. Another welterweight on the rise here, Bobby. Like Oban's
Yeah,
tough, and I know he lost the previous fight, but man, he just like looked like this fight wasn't even close.
yeah, that was brutal matchmaking, and every time Oliveira hit him, he got dropped. You saw kind of the power difference there.
Yeah,
Um, and but Oliveira never got when he dropped him the first time, he didn't rush in or anything. He knew the takedown was always live, but just kind of kept him at range. And yeah, at one point he was trying to swim away from the strikes, and when it got called off, Oban looked like he didn't even knew what happened. It happened pretty quickly. And yeah, another guy at 170 that very well could be a problem. He kind of reminds me of BSD because of the military background and stuff.
yeah.
Um, but I'm talking like early heyday BSD when we thought he was going to be fighting for a title sooner rather than later. So there are plenty of good guys to match him up with, but definitely one of the more enjoyable performances on that card, even though I did not want to see Oban get slumped out like that. But, he was patient and got the finish.
Was that the did you have that a tap, by the way? Was it the Gugan Dinkic fight?
Um, no, I think, was it Herzog that was doing that?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
If that was Herb Dean, everyone in their mother would be crying. I'm just gonna go out and say that. I did not agree with it. Obviously, it's the result. I don't think he has any chance of it getting overturned, but I did not consider that a tap. No.
Yeah, I was kind of I didn't think he tapped. I mean, in slow mo, but in even live time, like I didn't think he tapped. I just thought Herzog bet the guy to win by submission. So
Yeah, I mean, you want to be careful with those allegations, especially because Herzog's been the one. But yeah, I don't know. Like guys always do have like bad night in the offices, so I mean
yeah,
that was just one for Jason. Um, but yeah, I did not. It wasn't as bad as the octagon stoppage. That was just pure trash. But yeah, I do not think that was a submission. I think
I,
Herzog. If he would have done that one over, I don't think he would have called it that way.
yeah, yeah, same. Bobby, I want to move real quick to Fridays, the PFL, and maybe the performance of the weekend, and that was Usman Nurmagomedov. What he did, uh, on Friday, I thought that was the best he's ever looked.
Yeah, really enjoyed the kind of quick card that PFL did. 4 prelims, 4 main fights. Very kind of tight. Used all their windows and stuff. I know Dakota got shunned on an interview, but what would you prefer, missing an interview or missing the 5th round of a fight? Granted, Usman did not need any of that time at all because he got
Granted,
a
they
first.
could have interviewed Dakota,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. In the end, they could have, and yeah. So that's kind of ironic how all that stuff works out. But you know, Archie is not. I saw a lot of people just with the opinion of, well, what do you expect to happen? Like, they were feeding him to him, and Archie Colgan trains with Gaethje. He's young. He was undefeated. And Usman had no problem playing his game. He was trying to, put pace on him early, and he had much more success with the striking and dropped him a few times before he got the finish and made very quick work of him. And whether it's his last fight in the PFL or if he is going to the UFC, he could not have had a better stamp on the performance. Where if he was just outclassing him for 5 rounds and more or less playing with his food, he would have caught the criticism. So let's give him praise for getting this kid out of there in under, the first half of the round.
Right. No, I thought it was his best performance. He did what like he wasn't like a huge favorite. And like, remember this guy, like Paul Hughes took him to 10 rounds, and some people even thought that Paul won the first one. So like this was for Usman to come in here, bounce after those, and kind of bounce back and really show, like he's still getting better. He's only 30 or 29 years old, so he's not even like about to hit his peak here in fighting, and hopefully go on a few runs. It'll be interesting what happens with the PFL MVP, whether he re-signs or not. But I thought this was the best he looked. Do you think if he went to the UFC top? You got to. I mean, I think he could win the title.
Yeah, and I think if he did, you would immediately match him up in the top five.
Right.
Um, you know,
How
Oliveira,
about
Sarukian.
him and Ilya? Like if they signed it, that would be the
I
fight.
mean, I'd have no problem with it. I'd be a little bit surprised if that would be the first one, but I don't think he's going to need any type of tune-up fight, and he is willing to compete with the top of that division. He has very good striking too. I know a lot of people just look at the Dagestan roots and figure it's going to be 25 minutes of control time, but a lot of people forget that he was willing to exchange with Paul Hughes in both of those fights. And people also forget that Paul Hughes is pretty good. It's not like it's going to be one-way traffic. I think Paul Hughes could also compete in the UFC's lightweight division there. But it's weird because I do think Usman set himself up perfectly to get a payday either way. And especially with kind of the MVP merger, he almost puts more pressure on the PFL to come correct, because I think he's making around like 1 million per fight now. And I've seen some people say, just inflate it to like 1.5 or something. I don't think that's going to be enough. And I don't think necessarily the PFL, it's not like they're outbidding the UFC. They're kind of paying him to stay around in the division there. And,
Right.
he kind of said it best with, Jake Paul says Uncle Dana doesn't pay. So let's see how much they're going to pay. Like for him to be able to put that back on him, not once, but twice on the broadcast after they interviewed him outside the cage. Um, I think he just commanded his entire uh, time that he was on camera there. And even Dana's in the press conference, given that smirk, almost like a deal is already in place or something. And we're fully aware of the Ali ties. So um, they're kind of going to be up against it. And I do wonder if having Jake Paul in the press, in the cage, was really the right move, because it seemed like he wanted to put the title on him. Khabib snatched that shit off him and made sure to put it on Usman. And then Jake was being involved in his interview, kind of almost like negotiating with him on camera. And I just loved how Usman kind of threw it back at him. And Jake definitely seemed a little sloshed for sure, too. I mean, he
Yeah.
was having a good time, but yeah, the card itself was very enjoyable, but I think that really just stamped it home. That was like the more meaningful main event of the two events we got this week, because it just means so much for the future. But at the same time, it might not mean the future in the PFL. Like that's what makes it so interesting. Like he could have had this great time, and that might be the thing. Because we just saw the UFC sign Saladin Parnas, who fought on the MVP card. So it would not shock me at all if they just, make sure they get it done and bring it over. And I'd really kind of prefer that only because I do want to see him fighting the best competition. But I am also confident that MVP could kind of fully book out a lane to get a couple more fights with him. So I'm very interested to see how that's going to play out. I don't think he's going to be in any hurry to make the decision. So it'll be kind of one of those cool stories to watch for the end of summer.
You don't think he just signs PFL? He could sign to the UFC and get on the Abu Dhabi card.
I think he's gonna exhaust his time with it. I mean, I know a lot of people just assume the fix is kind of in with Ali, but Khabib even alluded to it. Like he's gonna kind of sit down, take all the offers, and why would you be in a hurry when this is a pretty big decision to make? See what MVP is gonna do if they're gonna be like having shows on Netflix and stuff. That
Right.
might alter some decision making. Um, if we get an announcement this week, like that he's signed by the UFC, I would be pretty surprised, but I also would not be shocked, if
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be this week. I don't at all. I don't think it'll be at least a month or so. In the co-main there, Dakota, it's been off for a year, gets the win, but the booze rain down. Bobby is, it's a heavy favorite. It's probably, she probably was on the pressure to get him out of there, but she just couldn't, and she wins the fight, but I don't think won the crowd.
Yeah, it's a bunch of bitter New Yorkers. What do you expect? I mean, they got to have something to boo at. She did. I'm not sure if she maybe just wanted to take the full 15 minutes of cage time. I don't think that's what it was. She did look pretty good in there. There were some moments where she was getting hit, but she never seemed really overwhelmed. About the only part that threw me off is she did at one point have Denise on the ground there and was kind of raining down with some hammer fists and some elbows. And I thought she could have probably finished her from that position. And I don't know if she just didn't want to be down there, so she let her back up to be on the feet. But early on, I thought there were some moments that she could have finished her. But at the same time, she did have a pretty good showing at taking very little damage. But when you do see minus 8,000, you do kind of expect to get a finish. I mean, this is why I try not to read too much into the lines, but I did kind of have that thought. But especially like with the layoff and her being gone a year, I think she was just making sure she wasn't making any mistakes. And I do
She's gonna
hope.
have to improve. Like if that's what she takes in against Liz Caramouche, I would favor Liz in that fight. But I think Dakota. I think you're kind of right, though. I think maybe it's been off for a year.
Yeah, and I always thought the Liz Carmouche fight is the fight we should have gotten last Friday. And it easily has to be what you have to do now. Um, this merger, quote unquote, takes place by the end of the year. I don't know if she could get another fight booked before that. I don't know if that's what she would even want, but it would be kind of nice to see her before the end of the calendar year. But at the same time, it wouldn't shock me if they're just kind of planning her to open up the, debut card on whatever new TV deal they get.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see, and the Caramouche fight would at least be a good co-headliner. Because Liz has got a name and everything else, so it'd be a good event for them if they in the first, as like whether it's on TV or Netflix or whatever, but kind of their first event.
And Carmouche, since she's been in that organization, has basically only won, and she is kind of the best fighter in that division for her to fight. So,
Yeah,
aside from them doing a super fight or something, I don't understand how Carmouche should be her next opponent there.
Yeah, I'm in agreement there. Bob, you got anything else to add before we get up out of here?
No, I think that probably takes care of it. There was some decent boxing on and stuff as well this week. Zapata just really put a master class on Roach there, so I appreciated that. And there was that Chamberlain O'Leary fight in Dublin. That was a very fun boxing fight that went back and forth. So, if you want to check out some boxing, I'd recommend those. But yeah, no, other than that, enjoyable weekend of fights, pretty digestible and, didn't take too much time. So you always appreciate it when it's quick.
Yeah, that's what she said. Or maybe
Phrasing.
not. uh, we'll be folks, you can check us out if you like us talking MMA. We're going to play a little matchmaker from Serbia and talk more. We'll talk the PFL MMA merger more on Wednesday on our special show called the Head Kicks and Haymakers that you can catch on the Bodkin Show YouTube channel. The description's right there scrolling across your screen. So if you want to check us out, please do. Other than that, we'll see you next week for another great episode of the Shadow Realm. For my guy Bob Blunts, I'm Bodkins. See you later.